Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming back to my channel and welcome if you're new here. Halloween is coming again, so let's learn how to crochet this adorable pumpkin inspired by this pumpkin jellycat.
If you don't know me, hi, my name is Lala. I'm a crochet designer who loves turning yarn into just about anything, from stylish wearables to cute amigurumi and everything in between. So make sure to hit that subscribe button so I can keep creating free tutorials and sharing new ideas. Let's start crocheting! We're going to start by making the legs with the color brown yarn. And we're going to start by making a magic ring. If you're not sure how to make a magic ring, I'll link a tutorial I made up on screen now. And because it's chenille yarn, make sure to close the ring as much as you can, but still be able to put the hook inside it. We're going to start by working 8 single crochets into the magic ring. Insert your hook into the ring, yarn over, into the ring again, and when you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over into both loops. In order to recognize the first stitch later, you can put a stitch marker on the first single crochet. Work 7 more single crochets into the ring. And when you have 8 single crochets inside the ring, count them and make sure they're 8. You can take out the stitch marker if you used one. Insert your hook into the first stitch of the round. Yarn over into the stitch, and when you have 2 loops on your hook, grab the left one into the right one to form a slip stitch. Then you're going to chain 1 to close the round. Next, for round 2, we're going to work 2 single crochets in each single crochet of the previous round, and this is called an increase. Two single crochets in each stitch, and continue doing so for each of the next stitches of the previous round. At the end of round 2, you're supposed to end up with 16 stitches. To join the round, slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1. Then we're going to start by working 3 single crochets in the first 3 stitches. 1 into the first stitch of the round, the one we just slip stitched into, 2 and 3. And after 3 single crochets, we're going to work an increase in the next stitch. So 3 single crochets followed by an increase. We're going to repeat that 3 more times until we reach the end of the round. And don't forget that this slip stitch that joined the round is not a stitch we put any stitch into. When we got to the end of the round, we'll put one last increase into the last stitch. And then you'll have to end up with 20 stitches around. So count your stitches, make sure they're 20. And if the count is right, you can slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1. Next, for round 4, we're simply going to single crochet around, put 1 single crochet on top of each stitch. So we'll end up again with 20 stitches at the end of round 4. When we got to the end of round 4, we're supposed to have a little bow like this. We're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and then chain 1 to join the round. Next, to start round 5, we're going to start with 12 single crochets in the next 12 stitches. And then we're going to work 4 decreases in the next 8 stitches. How to work a decrease? We're going to insert our hook into the front loop only of the stitch, so we have 1 loop instead of 2. Insert it into the next stitch front loop, yarn over into the left 2 loops only. Now we have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over into both of them. And this is an invisible decrease. Let's do that 3 more times. Front loop, yarn over into 2 left loops, yarn over into 2 loops. And then at the end of this one, we'll end up with 16 stitches. Make sure you have 16 stitches around. Slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1. We're going to start round 6 by working 8 single crochets in the next 8 stitches. And then we're going to work 4 decreases. So again, front loop, yarn over into 2 loops and decrease. Do that 3 more times until the end of the round. And then when we got to the end of the round, we can tuck in the tail here so it won't bother us. Make sure you have 12 stitches around, and if you do, you can slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1. At this point, you're going to start stuffing the leg with some scrape yarn or stuffing material. I don't have any stuffing material with me right now, so scrape yarn it is. When the leg is a bit stuffed, we can continue to work round 7. What we're going to do is skip the first stitch and go straight into the one next to it. And then we're going to work 5 decreases. Front loop, whoop, and continue decreasing all the way to the end of the round until we have 6 stitches around. Count your stitches, make sure you have 6 single crochets around, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you can single crochet into the first stitch of the round and chain 1. From rounds 8 to 16, we're simply going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch, single crochet in a round until we reach the end of round 16. Don't forget to slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1 at the end of each round. I'll work my rounds off camera and I'll see you back again at the end of round 16. And this is how our leg will look when we finished round 16. A long, cute leg. After we slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and chained 1, we're going to grab our scissors and leave a long tail for sewing. And then we're going to pull away the hook and then tighten the stitch up. Next, you're going to repeat part 1, round 1 to 16, to have 2 identical legs. To start making the pumpkin's body, we're going to start by making a magic ring. And then we're going to start by working 8 single crochets into the ring. So insert your hook into the ring, yarn over, into the loop, and when you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over into both loops. And this is the first single crochet. Start closing the ring from the first single crochet and work 7 more single crochets into the ring. When we have 8 single crochets inside the ring, this is round 1, we're going to close round 1 by slip stitching into the first single crochet of the round. Insert your hook, yarn over, back into the loop, and when you have 2 loops on your hook, you're going to grab the left one into the right one. And then chain 1 to close the round. We're going to start round 2 by making an increase into the first single crochet of the round, 1 single crochet, and another one into the same stitch. And this is an increase. Now instead of 1 stitch, we have 2. We're going to do the same thing for each of the next 7 stitches around. Put 2 single crochets in each stitch. And this will bring us up to 16 stitches at the end of the round. When you get to the end of the round, you'll have this slip stitch here that we used to join the round. Don't forget that it's not a stitch, it's just for joining the round. You're going to have 16 stitches around if you increased correctly, and if you did, ignore this slip stitch and the chain 1 and just slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round, and then chain 1. For round 3, we're going to start by working 1 single crochet into the first single crochet of the round, and then move to the next stitch and work an increase. As you remember, an increase is 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And this is what we're going to do all the way to the end of the round. 1 single crochet, followed by an increase. Keep doing that until you reach the end of the round. And at the end of the round, you're supposed to have 24 stitches. Let's work the last increase at the end of the round. Count your stitches and make sure you have 24 stitches up until now. And if you do, join the round by slip stitching into the first single crochet and chain 1. Next, to start round 4, we're going to start by working 2 single crochets, 1, 2 into the next stitch, and then into the next stitch we're going to work an increase. 1 and 2 into the same stitch. Let's do that one more time. 1 single crochet, into the next stitch 2 single crochets, and into the next stitch an increase. Let's repeat that all the way to the end of the round, and then we'll have 32 stitches. When you've finished round 4, count your stitches and make sure you have 32 stitches around. And if you do, join the round by slip stitching into the first single crochet of the round, then chain 1. Next, for round 5, we're going to start by working 3 single crochets. 1, move to the next stitch and work 1 single crochet, move to the next stitch and work another single crochet, then move to the next stitch and work an increase. 2 single crochets into the same stitch. One more time. 1, 2, 3, and then an increase after 3 single crochets. Let's repeat that all the way to the end of the round, and I'll see you back again at the end. Let's work the last increase of round 5. Count your stitches and make sure you have 40 stitches around, and if you do, slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1 to close the round. Let's proceed to round 6, and we're going to start by working 2 single crochets, 1, 2, work an increase in the next stitch, and then work 4 single crochets into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then work an increase in the next stitch. You're going to repeat this step of 4 single crochets followed by an increase all the way to the end of the round until you have 2 stitches left at the end of the round. So let's almost complete our round, and I'll see you back again when we have 2 stitches left. Let's work the last increase, and then we'll see we have 2 stitches left at the end of the round. We're simply going to single crochet into each one of them. 1 and 2. Count your stitches and make sure you have 48 stitches around. And if you do, join the round by slip stitching into the first single crochet of the round, then chain 1. In round 7, we're going to start by working 5 single crochets into the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then after 5 single crochets, we're going to work an increase into the next stitch. This is what we're going to repeat all the way to the end of the round. Once you finish this round, you're supposed to end up with 56 stitches, so count your stitches and make sure your counting is right. If it is, slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round, then chain 1. For round 8, we're going to start by working 6 single crochets into the next 6 stitches. And 6. And after 6 single crochets, work an increase. Repeat this all the way to the end of the round, then you'll have 64 stitches around. Slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1. We're going to work our last round of increasing, and we're going to start by working 7 single crochets into the next 7 stitches. 7, and after 7 single crochets, work an increase in the next stitch. Repeat this pattern, 7 single crochets followed by an increase all the way to the end of the round, then you'll have 72 stitches. One last increase for round 9. Count your stitches, make sure you have 72 stitches in the last round, and then slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1. Next is the fun part. We're simply going to single crochet around from round 10 to round 19. You're just going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch until you reach round 19. Please don't forget to slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round at the end of each round and chain 1. I'm going to work my 10 rounds off camera, and I'll see you back again at the end of round 19. When you finished working 10 rounds of 72 single crochets each round, we'll end up with this beautiful bow. We're going to first work 7 single crochets. And then we're going to work an invisible decrease in the next 2 stitches. Front loop, yarn over, yarn over. And we're going to repeat that 7 more times. 7 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease until you get to the end of the round. You're supposed to end up with 64 stitches around. So count your stitches and make sure you have the right number of stitches, and if you do, slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round, then chain 1.
Then for round 21, we're going to start with 6 single crochets.
And then work a decrease. And we're going to repeat that for 7 more times until the end of the round. And then we'll have 56 stitches in the round. Alright, now that we've finished round 21, I'm going to work my last decrease. slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round, then chain 1. Next we're going to work 5 single crochets and then work a decrease. And then work an invisible decrease in the next 2 stitches. And repeat this pattern until the end of the round for 7 more times. Let's wrap up round 22 by working the last decrease. Now you have to count your stitches and make sure you have 48 stitches around. If you do and your counting is right, slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round, then chain 1. Let's start round 23 and we're going to start it by working 4 single crochets. And then work a decrease. And repeat that 7 more times until we reach the end of the round. Then we'll have 40 stitches around. I'm at the end of round 23. I'm going to work the last decrease and slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1. Let's start round 24 and we're going to start by working 3 single crochets. And after that, we're going to work a decrease. Let's repeat that for 7 more times until we reach the end of the round. Then we're supposed to have 32 stitches around. Now let's finish up round 24 by working the last decrease. Make sure you have 32 stitches around and then slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1. Next we're going to put a stitch marker on the last stitch because we're going to work on the face. So turn the pumpkin around so the seam is behind you. Take your safety eyes. I'm using 14mm ones. Count from round 1 until you reach round 17 and 18, and then place the safety eyes. I'm going to put the safety eyes between round 17 and 18, about 6 to 5 stitches apart from each other. Next we're going to make the smile, so grab a darning needle and black thread. Count 2 rows under the eye and then insert the darning needle and put it back in about 4 stitches apart. Then we're going to insert back the needle right between those 2 dots and make our pumpkin smile. You can also add an anchor point on the side, but it's not a must. And now our face is done. When you're done, grab the 2 black tails and tie them together. Simple double shoelace tie, nothing too complicated, just for the smile to be safe and secure. Take out the stitch marker, put back the hook, and now we're going to work 2 single crochets followed by a decrease, and repeat these steps until the end of the round. At the end of round 25, you're supposed to end up with 24 stitches around. And now we're going to put back the stitch marker because we're going to stuff our pumpkin. So I don't currently have any stuffing material left. I'm going to use all of my scrape yarn, which I have a lot, but of course you can use any kind of stuffing material you have available. Once our pumpkin is filled up, we can go to round 26. Take out the stitch marker. First we're going to skip the first stitch, skip this stitch and go straight to the other, the one next to it with a single crochet, and then we're going to decrease 11 more times. So at the end of this round, you're supposed to end up with 12 stitches around. And this was round 26 with 12 stitches around. We're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round, chain 1, and repeat what we just did in the previous round. Skip the first stitch and go with the single crochet straight into the next one, and decrease around to end up with 6 stitches. When you have 6 single crochets around, slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1. Cut off the yarn, pull away the hook, and use a darning needle to close the gap of the last round. Then weave in the tail. What we're going to do next is use the strands that we left. What we're going to do next is use the yarn that we left, the strands of color A yarn, to make the pumpkin in the shape of a pumpkin. You can also use a thinner worsted or sport cotton yarn in the same color to make the lines. But in any case you don't have the right color, you can just use the chenille yarn. We're going to turn our pumpkin upside down and insert the darning needle from round 1 to between round 1 to 2, from round 1, from the center of the magic ring, and pull along a very long tail. Draw the line all the way to the center of the last round we just fastened off. And then if you have an amigurumi needle, it will be easier, but if you don't, we're just going to have to work our way back to the bottom of the pumpkin. And then you're going to pull the strand, and you're going to repeat this process 6 more times. And every time you finish a line, you're going to have to pull the yarn as strong as you can to make the shape of the pumpkin. You're going to repeat this process 6 more times until you have 8 symmetrical lines across. When you're done shaping your pumpkin, we're going to flip it over and simply tie the 2 tails together to secure the lines. Just a simple shoelace tie, even 2 or 3 if you need to be even more secure. Then use a darning needle to weave in the tails. Next, we're going to make the stem. We're going to use the green color yarn, and we're going to start by making a slip knot. If you're not sure how to make a slip knot, I'll link a tutorial now on screen showing 3 different ways to make a slip knot. You can choose whatever you find more comfortable. Next, we're going to chain 3, put the yarn over the hook like this, and grab the yarn into the slip knot's loop. And this is 1 chain. Make 2 more. Then we're going to skip the first chain, the one closest to the hook, and work 1 single crochet into the next chain after it. 1 single crochet and another single crochet into the next chain. For row 2, we're going to turn our work like this. Chain 1, skip this chain as it doesn't count as a stitch, and then single crochet into the 2 single crochets we did in row 1. 1 single crochet into each stitch. Next, for rounds 3 to 6, we're going to simply repeat round 2, chain 1, turn our work, and work 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. And keep doing that until you reach the end of row 6. When we've done 6 rows of 2 single crochets each, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, start by working 1 single crochet into the first stitch of the row to be more exact, and then into the next stitch we're going to work an increase. So put 2 single crochets into the same next stitch. So now we have 3 single crochets in row 7. Chain 1, turn your work, and for round 8 we're going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch. Hello, Smatty. Thank you. We're going to repeat what we did in round 8 for round 9. For round 10, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, put 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then work a decrease into the next 2 stitches. Front loop, into left 2 loops, and when you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over into both of them. And now we've decreased the row to 2 single crochets instead of 3. Next, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and for row 11, work 1 single crochet into each stitch. So now we have 2 single crochets. From rounds 12 to 16, we're simply going to repeat row 11. Chain 1, turn your work, and single crochet into the 2 stitches. So I'm going to work my rows, and I'll see you back again at the end of row 16. At the end of row 16, you're supposed to have something that looks like this. What we're going to do next is fold it in half, like this. And then we're going to continue from where we left off and just slip stitch the 2 sides together. So insert your hook from one side and take it out from the other side. Yarn over into the 2 loops and slip stitch. And you're going to do that all the way until the opening is closed. When you got to the top of the stem, we're going to chain 1. Just slip stitch into the top of the stem, not to close it, just to get to the other side. Then chain 1 and do the same on the other side until the stem is closed. When we're done, we're going to have something like this. You're going to chain 1, grab your scissors, and cut off a long tail for sewing. Pull away the hook to tighten the stitch up. And next, what's left for us to do is simply use a darning needle to put all of the parts together. So you're going to sew the stem to the top of the pumpkin, flip it over, and sew the legs to the bottom. When you're sewing on the legs, make sure that the highest part of the foot is turning upwards. When you're done sewing, just weave in the tails using your darning needle. And congratulations, you just finished making yourself a Jellycat's pumpkin. I really hope you liked this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so I can make more free crochet tutorials for you guys. I wish you all a very creepy and happy Halloween, and I'll see you next video.